Okay, a few bikes out of my collection. I've not really got many. This is a replica of probably, I don't know, about 82, 83 Robinson. I guess for the plate it's probably dated to be about 83. It's a regular size expert frame, not the Pro one. Obviously they've got a lid tail back end, it's got MX-1000 brakes on it. It's probably not exactly like what I rode, but it's quite close. This is a number plate that we just had knocking around that I put on it. I've not got an exactly correct pad set, but these frames with the Argus are pretty sought after. We were the importer for Robinson back in the day, and I rode for them as a rider. I sponsored quite a few people, and especially in the northwest, there's still quite a few of these frames knocking about when you find them, because there were a lot out there. Just moving on to these other couple of things, I'll go to this Talker here. This is the last bike that I rode really as a pro. It's a bike that I built for the World Championships in Slough in 1986. Ended up not riding it on the day because there was a bit of a dispute. I can't remember what it was about, but we ended up not riding. It's different now, this bike, to how I had it. I was racing motocross as well at the start of time. Well, this isn't the plate that I had, but I had it all, the colour and all the components were all done just like in 1986 on the CH125, so I had a blue seat and core rims and stuff. But over time I stripped a few parts off it and put it back together to ride about 10 years ago. So that's a Talker Pro X frame. It dates from about 1984. Again, like the Freestyle that I showed you earlier, these were really good frames. You know, lightweight, a bit more modern geometry than the earlier bikes, which I can actually show you here. This is a Talker Chalk Flight from about 1980. These are the complete bikes that we used to import from Talker. When we originally went to America in 1981 and hooked up with Robinson, Chuck was a really, a huge help and inspiration, to me certainly. We were looking at doing some complete bikes, and he got us in touch with Steve Johnson. So we ended up doing these. This bike is one I threw together for that Bournemouth old school race a few years ago. It came together in about an hour. It's actually the frame, the fork, the headset, crank and sprocket I found at a shop in Florida quite a few years ago. I had it sat there, and we just threw a few bits on it that had knocking about, and it's actually come out pretty perfect. It's actually got mongoose bars and grips, but I've got the original ones to put back on it. But it's quite a cool thing from about 1980, as I say. What else have we got here? Okay, this is a Robinson bike that I built for that old school series that we did in 1983. Oh my god, that's 5 years ago now. It's one of the 1990 Robinson frames that I showed you earlier. What's cool about it, it is totally built with all period parts. It's the same kind of thing that Greg Hill would have run back in the day. It's got GT cranks made by Profile. Basically, there's profiles with a GT stamp on them. GT hubs, sun rims, Odyssey triple trap pedals, GTC. So it's all original from back in the day, and it's got a proper pad set for it as well. I'm just not really using this, so this is for sale if anyone wants to buy it. Right, last but not least, this is probably my favourite bike, apart from the ones I actually rode myself. It's a 1974 full suspension Kawasaki. Bought this off eBay, going back, well, way back now, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a bit less, maybe 8 years. And what a thing, the forks are actually rigid on it. It's got a Springer back end. And you just kind of think, oh, this is just like a play bike that they used to sell. You sometimes, saw these back in the 70s over here, and in the 80s. But these were proper serious race bikes. So when they had that Yamaha Gold Cup, etc., when the Yamaha used to build the motorbike as well, Kawasaki had these aluminium frame, way ahead of its time. White tyres, 12 gauge spokes. Thing's amazing. I actually raced this at that Bournemouth old school race a few years ago, and if you can see they actually come around trying to jump a step up and didn't clear it, and the cranks are completely twogged there, so they need replacement. I mean, really, it probably does need restoring. You can easily get new graphics, but apart from the seat cover, as far as I can tell, and the grips, the bike is pretty original. But it is really a cool bike to ride.